Hello and welcome to Wednesday's programme.
Your headlines tonight. Safety concerns are raised at Bath's Royal United Hospital following an inspection.
Bristol's St Paul's Carnival parade is cancelled due to worries over safety and finances.
Plans to turn Weston's Tropicana into a 10,000 capacity music venue move a step closer.
I'm not going to pretend it's going to be easy, but I think this space in this location, it's just fabulous.
And set to soar over Exmoor, plans to release up to 20 young eagles into the national park. Good evening. First tonight, safety concerns have been raised at the emergency department of Bath's Royal United Hospital. The Care Quality Commission has rated the service as requires improvement following an inspection in October, prompted by reports of overcrowding and safety issues.
The Trust says it's taking steps to improve the care and support people receive. Well, let's cross to our reporter, Victoria Davis, who is outside the RUH for us. Victoria, what seem to be the main issues here?
Well, this is an inspection which happened in October, and inspectors said they faced an emergency department here at the RUH under enormous pressure. They said their main issues was to do with safety. They say that there weren't enough senior doctors on overnight, that there was overcrowding, which meant people were being treated on trolleys in corridors. And in fact, they said that some of those trolleys were obstructing fire exits and even the access way to a children's resuscitation room. They also said that there was high amount of nurses off sick, and they also raised concerns over the way patients with mental health illnesses were being treated. They said they came across one older patient who'd been waiting in a cubicle for 5 days while they decided whether he would be allowed to be admitted to a specialist bed. Well, earlier I spoke to the managing director of the RUH and asked him what he could say to reassure patients using the emergency department here.
Well, what I'd want to reassure them of is that we've responded to the report, so there have been some major investments made immediately as a result of the report. We've put about 1.3 million of revenue into making sure that we've got the correct level of overnight staffing for medical staff in the emergency department, and that is giving us a lot more sustainability of the service. It's been helpful.
Is it safe?
I believe that our department is safe, and I would want anyone that's coming to our department to know that it is safe.
Well, it's also important to point out that there were positive things that were raised in this report, including the fact that staff will be found to be kind and compassionate towards patients, particularly those with autism and learning difficulties. And they do say that in a few years' time there will be investment, so we'll be getting a new emergency department here at the RUH.
OK, Victoria at the RUH, thank you very much.
Now, next tonight, it's been announced that a full-scale St Paul's Carnival will not be taking place this year. It's due to worries around safety and finances.
Well, the event celebrates Bristol's African Caribbean community and has been running for nearly 60 years. Organisers say it will take a different shape this year, with the hope it can return to normal in the future. Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Ricardo Shari, who's the Executive Director for St Paul's Carnival Board, and asked for his reaction to the news.
Oh no, it's incredibly disappointing. We've spent a lot of time over the last year with the community to really try and understand how to best bring the kind of community carnival back to the streets, and it's definitely been a challenging year in just trying to manage the financial elements of Carnival just becoming increasingly more expensive year on year, and the safety aspects of we're so popular now, over 100,000 people come to Bristol to celebrate with us. It means that we have to make sure that the streets and the people that come here are safe.
But it does seem to be a repeating story, isn't it? Because last Carnival was in 2023, the full version of it. How do you break this cycle of disappointment? Do you know, in truth, yeah, in money, you know, and a lot of support, I would say, doesn't necessarily always translate into pounds, but it's not just about money, it's around
changing the model, giving the community the ownership, the power, the skills and the training. So the sort of spirit that Carnival grew out of kind of goes back to that model, so people technically have those skills to kind of limit the cost. So I don't think it's just about funding, it's about kind of a shared model and understanding of how we bring Carnival into the kind of modern day, separately from how we did it back in the day when it was a lot more cheaper to kind of rally around as a community to bring together the kind of key assets, I would say.
I guess not great culturally either for the city, is it? Because Carnival is a real time to show off the communities.
Yeah, no, that's what makes it so disappointing, is that really the organisation and the city has a rich history, loads of culture, and it's sort of like always trying to battle to make sure that the Afro-Caribbean sort of heritage of this carnival is always sort of delivered in the city, and it's mainly always been because it's a free event. So, you know, unlike other big city events, we can't ticket. So looking at different ways to make sure that we can make it sustainable is really how this organisation has been looking at bringing Carnival into the future.
Okay, well, so it's the bottom line is Carnival's not dead, it's just sleeping, and you'll have smaller events going on this year.
Yeah, so for this year, we're still kind of carrying on with like the cultural expressions of Carnival, because one of the key things that the community did say as part of our engagement is that bringing it back to basics and doing the elements that kind of make Carnival the cultural elements is really important. So we're still bringing some of those elements to mass camps, the schools programs, you know, training and support for the community, but just as we move into a new model, it's about just trying to bring everyone with us and understanding how we make it sustainable so that we don't have to keep, you know, being disappointed every summer.
Very quick, yes or no, will we see a full Carnival back?
If we get the city buy-in and everyone's bought into kind of how we take things forward, I think we need to be confident and make sure that Carnival is delivered every year.
Okay, that's a maybe, I'll take it. Ricardo, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Ricardo Sherry from the St Paul's Carnival Board speaking to us a little earlier. Right, in Weston-super-Mare, North Somerset Council have approved the next stage of a process which could see the Tropicana become a 10,000 capacity music venue.
Yes, councillors have agreed to lease the former seafront Lido to an events company. That's subject to further conditions. So today it promised substantial investment to attract big-name live performers. Richard Payne has more.
Ideas about what to do with this once loved but more recently neglected venue have come and gone like the western tide. But this time, we're promised, will be different, as a global giant of live entertainment commits to lease the Tropicana for the next 25 years. Importantly, though, no permanent roof.
Not going to pretend it's going to be easy, but I think this space in this location, it's just fabulous and it's fantastic. And I think with our experience, we can really bring that to this venue, and we can work on how we create this vision for the Tropicana that will work. And it's got to be sustainable and it's got to be viable. That's really important. But yeah, we're confident.
Not a word usually associated with this place since the days of black and white TV, and later when wave machines with giant slides drew crowds in their thousands. Banksy's Dismal Land and The Sea Monster proved short-term hits. Now comes the hope of a permanent one.
It's more than 25 years since the much-loved but loss-making pool closed, and ever since they've been wrestling with ideas of what to do with this place. You name it, it's probably been proposed. Restaurant, cinema, flats, even to demolish the whole thing and forget all about it. But this time, they believe they can really make it work. Why? Well, with respect, it's not in the council's hands, but in those of a private operator. And they need to make money.
The council leader told me this latest development is a game changer for Weston.
It'll be great news for local people. They'll be able to access this entertainment here, but also attract more people in. And you know, the bottom line is build it and people will come. And I think we will unlock investment in hotels, in restaurants, in our high street on the back of this kind of significant investment.
Of course, the people have to share the vision and support it.
I think it'll be interesting. I'll probably go with a few of my mates, so I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking it's a shame that it's sort of gone to rack and ruin as we walk past, yeah, so anything really to bring it more to life.
It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's floats a lot of people's boats, so why not spend the money on it?
Today, a man and his dog are the only visitors here. By 2028, we're told thousands will once again be beating a path to Tropicana's door. Richard Payne, ITV News, Weston-super-Mare.
Not even the man and the dog stop to look, but we'll see what happens to that.
Will you let us know what you think? Because I'm really interested whether people want it back, how they feel these ideas that they say there's no such thing as an original idea. And of course, the St Paul's Carnival as well. We want to hear your thoughts.
Give us your views, yes.
Right, we'll move on to other news now. And an historic Grade 2 listed cinema in Dorset is up for sale if you want one. Brit-bought Electric Palace, which opened in 1926, is looking for a new owner. Let's have a look inside. The Art Deco venue celebrates its 100th birthday this year. It's on the market. Here are the sums. £1.75 million. Quick cake sale.
Yes, exactly. That's all it needs. Now, Bath's Fashion Museum is heading for a brand new home in the city after planning permission was granted for a new development. The museum left its former site at the Assembly Rooms in 2022, where it had been for nearly 60 years after the National Trust took back control of the lease. The new location will be at the historic Old Post Office.
Oh, everything's changing. Right, you're watching ITV News. We're not. West Country with 7 Alex.
Yes, thank you for joining us this Wednesday evening. Still ahead before 6:30. Plans that could see the UK's largest birds of prey over Exmoor get set to take off.
And we've got some unseasonably but not unusually cold weather in the forecast over the coming days. Join me later to find out more.
Yeah, that's to come. But first, heat pumps. They are touted as the future, aren't they, of home energy. You hear adverts about them all the time. The devices use electricity to absorb and amplify heat from the air or the ground. And they're seen really as the greener alternative to gas-powered boilers.
Annual installation of heat pumps across the southwest have more than trebled since 2019. In the second of our special reports on renewable energy, Nick Smith looks at whether they're cost-effective for householders.
In the midst of a climate change crisis and global instability affecting energy markets, reducing reliance on fossil fuel imports has been pushed to the forefront. Much of that starts within the home. More than 5,500 heat pumps were installed across the West Country last year by heating engineers like Alex Stevens in Bristol.
What that heat pump is doing is, in simple terms, is taking heat or energy that's already in the air and it's pulling it in via a fan over the evaporators, and what it's doing is then using refrigerant, it's compressing it with a compressor, and it's causing, if we rub our hands, friction, and it creates heat through a heat exchanger, and then in turn goes into your home for your hot water or your heating.
Craig Howie has a home which can be almost entirely run by renewable energy. He had a heat pump installed last year, which receives power from solar panels. Craig was able to get a government grant of £7,500 towards the work, and says overall it was cheaper than fitting a new gas boiler.
The cost saving is around about £3,000 a year. In the summer it just ticks over, it heats the hot water, but in the winter we have full control over it, and it keeps the house at a constant temperature, as opposed to having very hot and then cold. So we don't have any bills now, we've got no gas, so the return on investment is going to be just in a matter of a few years.
Installation costs can still run over £5,000, even for those eligible for grants. And while there are questions around heat pump efficiency in older, less well-insulated homes, those at the UK Committee on Climate Change say those problems can be mitigated.
You don't, in many cases, need to do a huge amount of work to your house to have a heat pump. What we said in our advice to government, though, is basic insulation measures, whether that's draft proofing or loft insulation, can really help these new technologies. Heat pumps are really important in the journey to net zero emissions and in the journey to get off fossil fuels, which are costing us money in the economy. Around 1% of UK households have heat pumps at the moment. We need to see that grow to about half of UK households having heat pumps by 2040.
The government says they aim to have 600,000 heat pumps installed annually by 2028, and homeowners can continue to apply for grants as part of a wider £15 billion Warm Homes plan. But time will tell if the uptake will be enough to decarbonise our homes once and for all. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Well, tomorrow night, in the next report in our series on renewable energy, we'll be looking at the huge rise in demand for solar panels since the onset of the Iran war.
We move on, and the Mayor of the West of England, Labour's Helen Godwin, has backed the Prime Minister to start delivering for the country despite the results of last week's local elections and, of course, the growing calls for him to resign. She spoke this morning as she unveiled more than 50 new council homes in Hengrove. She was joined by the Green leader of Bristol City Council, Tony Dyer, who she named as her new deputy mayor.
I think we've spent far too long diagnosing the problems and diagnosing, how people feel, how the economy is, and actually now we need to get on with delivering. There's no way that those results last week tell us anything other than people are not happy. But the resignation, I don't think will help with that.
In the end, we're elected to represent our residents and do what's best for our residents, regardless of what political party we're elected to represent. And I think we have demonstrated that we have the ability to do that while also staying true to our values as either a Green or a Labour politician. Our priorities are delivering the homes that people need, moving towards a mass transit system, but also it's providing opportunities for skills and jobs across the region as well.
Let's get some analysis. Our political correspondent Alicia Fitzgerald's in Westminster. Alicia, it's the King's speech. It's tumultuous in politics this week.
It absolutely is. And on the day where the King read out a speech written by the government outlining all of their plans for the next year, there is still a rumbling debate growing about whether or not Keir Starmer will even last that long. Now, this speech normally, it isn't full of bombshells, it's not full of breaking news, but it is a moment for the government to showboat all of the things that they plan to do for the people in the country. Their plan for change, I suppose, but not of leader in policy. We heard all about how they want to push ahead with reforms to tougher punishments for water companies who spill sewage into our waterways, the continued nationalisation of our rail network, all sorts of interesting policies. But many MPs inside the Labour Party and in other parties too worry that this will all be overshadowed if we do have a leadership contest in the next few weeks.
I don't see how he doesn't end up going now. If you've got 100 MPs saying that you're not the right guy for the job, I don't know how you survive that. But that's not what interests me. What interests me is that we have a population that is crying out for some positive action. They felt really let down by the Conservatives. They felt let down by this government. Starmer came out on Tuesday and said he was going to do some big, bold things. We've just had a King's speech, which is largely a rehash of what they announced last time.
And this is a view shared by lots of Labour MPs in the West Country as well, and that does seem to reflect the overall feeling nationally. It is very much split, and we don't as of yet have any potential leaders who formally announced their leadership against the Prime Minister. The next few weeks will be extremely telling, and the question, though, is whether the Prime Minister can continue. Does he still have the support of all the MPs who elected him as leader?
I think the next 24 hours will be pretty critical too, won't they? As you know, Alicia, and we'll be talking to you about it. Thank you.
And of course, politics dominates ITV's network news, which continues after us at 6:30. Here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the PM says he has full confidence in Wes Streeting, despite reports of a leadership challenge, as the King made his speech to Parliament. The Parliamentary Standards Watchdog has launched an investigation into Nigel Farage over an undeclared £5 million gift. And the Princess of Wales begins her two-day visit to Italy, her first overseas since her cancer diagnosis. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Now, we all know what they say, don't we, about all work and no play, which is why campaigners are calling for primary schools to prioritise playtime.
Well, schools are required to have clear strategies for things like behaviour and safeguarding. Now, though, a petition has been started calling for government guidance on play. Lauren Hall reports.
Putting the play into playtime.
Over the past few years, things have really accelerated here at Peasdown St John Primary School in Bath.
I find them really fun. I like the den building because then I get an experience to play with my friends.
My favourite thing about Play Tomorrow at our school is probably the dressing up, because it makes me feel like I can go into my own world.
Their school follows a scheme called OPAL, which stands for Outdoor Play and Learning. They now offer all sorts of activities, and it's proving popular with pupils, teachers, and even the school dog.
If children have played well, they are happy, they are settled, they've had their needs met, which means they go into the classroom in a happier position and much better able to achieve. So by focusing on play, we're actually focusing on the whole child, which means they achieve academically as well.
Up to a fifth of the school day is taken up with break and lunchtime. That adds up to nearly 1.5 years of a child's life at primary school. It's why campaigners want this for every child, every day. A petition's being launched calling for all primary schools to show their commitment to quality outdoor play.
I wouldn't say it's good for children, I'd say it's absolutely essential for children. And without it, it's not a proper childhood and it's not a proper education.
They know the power of play at this school, where quite a few pupils have learning disabilities and other special educational needs. Offering more to do at break and lunch times means there's something for everyone.
Happy.
Makes you feel happy
And excited.
and excited. Do you feel quite lucky to have all these different things to play with when you come outside?
Yep.
Those with more complex needs have the option of a separate play area, and this board helps with communication.
More bubbles.
Yasin is autistic and doesn't use speech. His teachers say out here he feels a strong sense of belonging and enjoys spending time with his classmates.
Yasin, you love climbing, don't you? Yasin loves to climb and love to come out and watch all the other children playing and join in.
The government told us it's helping transform school grounds and improve access to high-quality extracurricular activities, telling us we strive to create the healthiest and happiest generation of children ever. To do that, campaigners say we need to turn things around, arguing what goes on in school playgrounds is just as important as what's happening in the classrooms. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Now, conservationists have confirmed they'll be releasing Britain's largest bird of prey, the white-tailed eagle, into Exmoor this summer.
Looks like they just did, doesn't it? The project to release up to 20 birds over 3 years has just been given approval by Natural England. Cathy Wardle has more.
This could become a common sight in the skies over Exmoor. White-tailed eagles, or sea eagles, were once widespread across the UK, but human interference led to their extinction here. Since 2019, a project based on the Isle of Wight, run by Roy Dennis Wildlife Foundation and Forestry England, has proven successful, with the first chick to be born in the wild in England in 240 years. Some of the birds released there have been drawn to Exmoor.
Every bird that we release is satellite tagged, which means we basically know where it is on a minute-by-minute basis. And we've tracked them all over the country, in some cases to continental Europe. But we've also noted that there's a real hotspot in southwest England and Exmoor in particular. So 14 different birds have spent varying lengths of time on Exmoor. And that just demonstrates that the birds themselves are finding it and showing that it's a really suitable place for them.
Because of that success, Natural England has approved the release of 20 birds on Exmoor over 3 years.
The white-tailed eagle is a really fundamental part of wetland and coastal ecosystems. It plays a really key ecological role, and it's a species that I think is important to remember would be here if it wasn't for the past actions of humans. So this is about restoring a lost bird to an area that we know has an abundance of natural food, and a bird that should really prosper in that landscape.
It seems Exmoor's mix of coast, woodland and wetland is just the right habitat for them. The birds will be tracked long-term to monitor their impact and to see if they can continue to make Exmoor their home. Cathy Wardle, ITV News.
I'm no expert. That's a big bird.
That is a big bird.
That is a big bird.
Now, just before the weather, this was Weston-super-Mare's seafront earlier.
Our camera operator Dave caught these shots of the wind sweeping across the beach underneath some overcast skies, as you can see. Here's Georgie Palmer with the forecast.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors ITV West Country weather.
Hello, good evening. Some really lively weather across the region today and some torrential downpours. But equally a fair amount of sunny spells as well. This was a scene in Minehead at around lunchtime today. Now, the sunshine is going to be in short supply over the next few days. It is going to be very changeable with a strong northerly flow. The main feature, though, will be very cool temperatures for the time of year. Let me explain why. We've got high pressure quite far out to the west. This area of low pressure is sinking southwards, and that's allowing a northerly flow to pick up. So we're going to start to have air feeding straight down from the Arctic. So it really is going to feel very cold for this point in May. Tonight, though, temperature's not too bad. We've got enough cloud and enough breeze and some showers to keep temperatures above freezing, but lows generally sitting at around 4 or 5 degrees. So, to start the day tomorrow, some bright spells, some showers as well, but as the day gets going, thanks to low pressure being in charge, it's highly likely we're going to see further thundery downpours, some of those merging into longer spells of rain. Again, there could be some hail mixed in as well. Some sunny spells in between, but that's not really going to help the temperature. With the northerly wind, it is going to feel really chilly, highs of just 13, but probably feeling colder than that thanks to the wind chill. But on Friday, things change again. We have got a weak ridge of high pressure building, so something dry for Friday and Saturday. But as you can see here, temperatures still remain below the seasonal average. The average at this point in the year is around 16 or 17 degrees. Sunday, we're expecting some light rain, and into next week, still changeable, but temperatures gradually recovering.
TUI sponsors ITV West Country weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Well, currently all pollen levels are low thanks to the fresh Arctic air and unsettled conditions. But a word of warning, the grass pollen season is just beginning to start.
Great, thanks, Georgie. Right, that is about it from the two of us, but I would very much encourage you to join me again. I'll be back at 10:30.
After the break, though, the ITV News continues with Mary Nightingale. But for now, from all of us here, good night.
Bye.